What's going on, guys? Orange Puddle here with another tutorial for the revamp mod. This one is going to be how to import Cgator22 sliders onto your 360 and also how to put them into an existing dynasty. So the first thing we're going to want to do is make sure that our profile for NSAFE14 is on our USB stick. So the first thing we're going to want to do is, this is the easiest way to do it. There is a way to do it inside the game to like copy your profile, but then it just gets kind of confusing because then you have two profiles. So I just take my main profile that I play on with all my trophies and all that stuff, records, and I would come up here to storage, go to my hard drive, or I'm guessing most of you guys play off of your hard drive, come to games and apps, find revamped, find your profile, likely called profile NCAA, and just move it to your USB. That way you're not making a totally new profile. You're not worried about like copying stuff. Just one profile there moving back and forth, way easier that way. Once you have moved it to your USB, we can now head on over to the computer. I will take out my USB from my Xbox, put it into my computer. Now once we're on our computer, we're going to want to do a couple different things. First thing is we're going to want to download what Cgator provided in the Discord. So I use a program called WinRAR. Some people might use something called 7-zip, but same thing. We're going to make a folder on our computer, and we're going to name it Cgator sliders plus instructions. And we're going to extract everything in this folder into that folder on our desktop. We're also going to make another folder, and we're just going to name it Cgator tabs. It's going to come in helpful later on. Finally, we're going to open the sliders and instructions, open up this folder, take this profile, and move it to our desktop. Next, we're going to download Horizon, and we're going to open it. I'll send you put a link to download this in the description. But we're going to come to Games, NCAA Football 14. That profile that you just saved onto your USB stick should show up. We're going to drag that into here. We're going to come up here to Contents. We're going to right click. We're going to extract it. We're going to put it onto our desktop. Once that's done, we're going to open up a program called Madden DB Editor. I'll leave a link to download this as well. There's a bunch of different DB editors that you can use, but this is my favorite, and it works really well for this. And so, kind of the high level objective of what we're trying to do is Cgator has a profile that has certain slider values that are in certain tabs on his profile. We want to export them from his profile and then import them into our profile. So what we're going to do is open his profile. So his profile is this USR user data. We're going to open that up, and once that loads, we're going to want to open up his instructions, because there's 4 tabs that we want to be exporting. So we go to the Xbox instructions. So those tabs are GOPT, SOPT, UINF, UOPT. So if you come here and you try to, the first tab where we need to export is GOPT. If you come up here and just try to export it, it's not going to work. It's going to give you a weird error, or it's going to show up wrong. So what I did is I just click off of it, and then I click back on, and you'll actually see the correct tab names populate. So you might get an error when you try to export it, and it might check the name when you export it. It might actually be the wrong tab. It might not be GOPT, but what we're going to do is find these tabs that we need. GOPT is the first one, so we're coming up here to GOPT. We are going to go to CSV, export, and we're going to put them in the Cgator tabs folder that we just made. You can feel free to keep the same names that it provides. Next up is SOPT. That is number 3. Going to go to CSV, going to go to export. Name looks good. Save it in that same folder. Next, we're going to go to UINF, which is number 14. CSV, export. same name, looks good. And then the last one is UOPT, which is number 19, CSV, export into that same folder, name looks good. Now we can exit out of the DB editor for this time, and the next thing we're going to do is open up our personal profile inside that same DB editor. So if we go to the Madden DB editor, if we go to File, Open, now we're going to go to our desktop and open our profile. So it says Profile NCAA. That is our profile from our Xbox. And like I said before, sometimes these tab names don't pop up right away. Just click off of it and click back on, and you will see those tab names populate. So the first thing we're going to want to do is go to GOPT, hit CSV, import, and go to the tabs folder that you made and find the corresponding tab. So this one's GOPT. We're going to import the GOPT, and you should see values of 255 here. If they're, I think their default maybe 80 or something like that, but you're going to want to see these change to 255. That's when you know you imported it correctly. Next, we're going to go to SOPT. I've also found success just saving along the way. I've tried to save at the end of making all the changes, and sometimes I get a weird error. Like he says, it's a little bit finicky, so go to SOPT, then go to CSV, import SOPT, save it again. Next, we're going to go to UINF, which is 14, CSV, import. Just to be sure, this is UINF. File, save. And then the last one is UOPT, which is 19, CSV, import. Make sure you're in the Cgator tabs, UOPT. Once you've done all four, you can file, save the profile, and just double check that these values are 255. That means you actually imported them correctly. Feel free to close out once you save. Close out of these instructions. Now we're going to open up Horizon again. We're going to open up Games and say Football 14, our profile. So this is technically still the profile that we first loaded from our USB, so there's nothing different about it. We're going to go to Contents, right-click, replace it with that profile that we just edited. And if you hover over it, you should be able to see that you last modified it like a minute ago. That means it was changed a minute ago, which is good. File replaced successfully. We're going to want to come up here and go to Save, Rehash, and Resign. If you don't click this, it straight up will not work. So make sure you save, rehash, and resign it. Feel free to exit out. Eject your USB. And now we can put it into our Xbox. So we are technically done with just getting the sliders onto our 360. So for people who don't have, who wanted to start a fresh dynasty with these, this is how you'd be good at this up to this point. You could then start a new dynasty and the sliders will be in the game, but let's just double check to make sure we did it right. You'll know you did it right because Cgator22, his favorite team is Florida Gators. So when you load up the game and load the profile, you should see that your favorite team is now the Florida Gators. And when the game loads up, you're going to want to load your USB stick. And the first thing the game loads is your profile. So I think my favorite team before was Alabama. So once we load the Gator sliders, you see that the new favorite team is Florida. And we go to the settings just to make sure. We go to house rules, and you should see in the normal game, the sliders only go up by sets of 5. But in the Gator sliders, you can see that he has custom values of 1, 0, 32. So that's how you know you did it right. Now, to add these to an existing dynasty, pull up the instructions again. Oh, that's my email. Don't want to do that. when you open them up in the regular dynasty, you're going to want to make a dummy dynasty save, but you're going to want to make that save with this profile. So essentially what you're doing is now you're using the profile that you just put onto your Xbox. You're making a new dynasty. When you make a new dynasty with this new profile and slider set and you save it to your USB, it's going to just by default use those custom sliders. So what we're going to do is make I have a Kansas dynasty that I'm going to put these sliders on, but we will go to our Xbox and I'll show you. So I'll go to Dynasty and I'll load up my Kansas dynasty and we'll look at my sliders. And they don't magically change just when you have you load up a new profile. So these are going to have my old sliders on them. I'll just show you guys. Like these are not Gator sliders. These are increments of 5. So I'll show you how to change these. So we're going to make a dummy dynasty. So just come to your USB. Make sure you're on USB with the Gator sliders. Go to Dynasty. Continue, new dynasty, new coach. Really does not matter. New coach looks good to me. If we go to rules and difficulty, we'll see that by default, we have Gator sliders. So that's what we want. We'll begin the dynasty. And then we'll save it something that we remember. Save it as like, sure, it'll be Florida, why not? New coach, looks good to me. And then we'll come over here to the save section. We'll save it. I think it's probably going to be named default. Yeah. But we'll make a new save and we'll just save it as dummy. So we have my real dynasty that I want to move the sliders to, and I also have my dummy dynasty. So what we're going to do now is, now that that's all saved to our USB, we want to make sure that that's on our USB too. So when we come over here to save dynasty, just double check. Nope, I can't do anything right. Make sure that the storage device that you're selecting, you can do this by hitting X, is your USB. So now that everything's on our USB, we're pretty good to go, pretty much good to go. So we're going to take our USB out of our Xbox and we are going to put it into our computer. Now the first instructions say to load each save into the editor. So that's what we're going to do. We are going to come over here and open up Horizon again. We're going to take Games and say Football 14. We're going to take our dummy dynasty, contents, right click, extract to the desktop. And we're also going to take our dynasty that we want to put the sliders on, extract it to the desktop. Feel free to exit out of Horizon. Next, what we're going to do is load our original save. So our original save would be the KU dynasty, and we're going to do that in the Extreme editor. So the Madden Extreme editor. So we'll open that up and we'll load our original. It's going to be on our desktop, Dynasty KU. So we're looking for, there it is. Okay. Once that is in, we are going to open the GOPT tab and we're going to find the OCPR. So if you come down here to GOPT, I believe it's 96 or somewhere around there. It is not 96. Here it is, GOPT 137. And if you scroll the tab we're looking for is OCPR, and I believe it's like somewhere around here. Yeah, I think that's it, OCPR. So it says to take note of the value. So I'm just going to make a note, open up my notepad, and just make note that that value is 2. That way I do not forget. And I'll make this really small because it's really not that necessary to have it this big when you just need to remember the number 2. So the OCPR value in the GOPT tab is 2 on my original save. Next, we are going to open the dummy save. So we can click exit out of this. We're going to go to Madden Extreme Editor, which is up here. Open up this folder or this file, and we're going to open up our dummy save. Dynasty dummy. And it says to export the GOPT tab. So this is what's going to have the sliders on it. So if we come down here, I think, what was it, 96? No, it's not 96. GOPT. Really tough, all these letters. GOPT, I should have, here it is, 137. So I come to GOPT, you'll see these values are 255, 255. We'll go to CSV, we'll export these. It doesn't really matter where you put them. Just save it as Dynasty Dummy GOPT. Now that is saved and you have this on your desktop, you can exit out. Next, we're going to open back up our original Dynasty. So we'll come to the Madden Extreme Editor again. We'll open up the exe file. We'll hit File, Open. And we want to put them on the KU Dynasty, so we'll come to KU. Now we're going to go scroll down to GOPT. What is it, GOPT? Yeah, GOPT, which is 137. I'm not an idiot now. Well, see how these values are 50? We're going to hit CSV, import, and we're going to find this GOPT dummy dynasty CSV file that we just saved to our desktop. We're going to import that. You should see these change to 255. That is correct. Now we're going to find the OCPR tab again, which is I found that earlier as well. OCPR, we found it earlier. I know it's here somewhere. Just bear with me. You probably already found it by now. Because it's in the GOPT tab. I'm an idiot. Okay. So we're going to, it's actually in this tab. We're going to scroll over to like here-ish. Sorry, a little brain fart there. OCPR. Here it is. The value is 2. So it says if it's a different value, then change it to what it was before. But if it's not different, and like our notepad says, it was 2, so the OCPR here is 2. So we are good to go. We can just hit File, Save, and our dynasty is saved. If we exit out now, we're all done. We can open up Horizon, go to Games, NCAA Football 14. You don't need your dummy dynasty anymore, so feel free to ignore that. But we'll drag out our dynasty that we want the sliders on, because technically, again, this is still the same dynasty that was on your USB when you first took it out. We'll go to Contents, we'll right-click, we'll replace with the dynasty we just saved. So if you hover over it, it should say that you changed it about a minute ago, which is good. That's what you want. Going to open that. Replace it successfully. Make sure you hit Save, Rehash, or Assign, or it will not work. And now you are done. So I'll eject my USB. I'm going to take it out of my computer, put it into my Xbox. And when we head over to the Xbox, we'll load up the game. We'll load up my Kansas Dynasty. And you will see now that the sliders are now Cgator sliders instead of the ones that I use, which were, you'll see they were increments of 5. They won't be increments of 5 anymore. It's not like the most complicated process, but it's a little finicky. And it's just like a little annoying, but once you do it once, you don't have to do it again, so it's all good. Again, feel free to load up your USB. Now we'll go to my Dynasty. We'll go to my KU Dynasty. Now we will head over Moment of Truth. We'll go to Dynasty Setup, Dynasty House Rules. Take a look at the sliders, and you can see they are now Cgator sliders. So hope you guys enjoyed that tutorial. Feel free to leave comments if you have any questions. The main thing is to make sure that you save the files, like export the files in the correct tabs, and make sure that you are saving along the way. I did run into some issues where I was trying to save at the very, very end. And then if you're I'm a little bit, like I get a little bit skeptical of like making sure I don't like accidentally ruin my whole profile or like lose it. Feel free to go to the Xbox 360 system settings and like move your stuff off of your USB into your hard drive. Like if you take this profile and move it into your hard drive, you can just load it up onto your hard drive. You won't have to worry about like losing it, because if everything's on your USB and you lose your USB, then it's all gone. So don't want that to happen. But I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. Hopefully it was simple enough to use. It's not that complicated, but it can be tricky sometimes, especially if you're not the most tech savvy person in the world. So hope you enjoyed. Thanks.